Mic check, 1, 2. Let me try to hear myself on my own stream. Make sure everything is copacetic. Oh, I haven't pressed play. How's it going, guys? Hello. Hello, Fejiro. Hello, Mary. Hello, Deola. Hello. What was he saying? Hello, Toby. You know, maybe I'll be doing a gift for the first person to say hello, but if the first person that says hello now runs off the stream, well, all right, I can hear myself, see myself. If you can't hear me or see me, you're a hater. The rest of us can hear and see me. How's it going? How's it going, Ben? Maybe we have to talk this week. I need new outfits. Um, so welcome to another. I was getting too casual there. I forgot I was live here. Welcome to another session of the Summer of More Life Experience. Uh, Happy to have you here. I believe that. Thanks, Toby. I believe that if I were to point at anybody here this evening, and I tell you that you should run the first 5 minutes of my live sessions for me, you probably can, because you know what I always ask you to do. Wait, how can you can't say you can hear me clearly? And my mic is on the ground here. Oh, that must be working pretty well. Give me a second. Toby, are you just saying it sounds weird? Better than when the truth is not sounding well. I actually heard myself. That's weird. Anyway, so I'm not even sure if it's this mic that is working or one of the camera. Some of these things can be confusing sometimes. So, like I said, you guys already know what I'm going to be asking you. I ask you every single what's it called? Every single week to do this one thing. At this point, you know, if you usually do it, just let me know in the comments. Do you usually do what I say you should do? Should I even say what it is, or do you should already know what it is? Every Sunday, write down 3 things you want to get done that week. You can do it on an app. You can do it in a notebook. It's better now. Thank you. You can do it on a notebook. You can do it however you like. If you use scrolls, all those scrolls they used to use in olden days, you scroll. Just make sure you write it down. Write what you want to get. 3 things you want to get done this week. Write it down. Why do I always tell you to do this? This is how you take control of your week, right? This is how someone I respect a lot has said something. He said, if you don't have a target, you can't fail, but then you also can't win or you can't succeed as well. So you're setting yourself up for success if you actually have 3 things you want to focus on for the week. That way, if you hit one, you're like, thumbs up, let's get it. I'm a beast. Why don't you write it down? You should write it down. It helps you to take a look at it. Maybe your mind is, or maybe you have an eidetic memory, but please do, always do, try to write it down. This guy is giving me instructions on live. Will shift your side lights backwards. Okay, boss. I've shifted it backwards. Thank you. Can I continue now? Anyway, let's get straight into it. I already did. I have an everyday routine. That works perfectly too. Yeah, that makes sense, right? There are many ways, several ways to skin a cat, as they like to say. I don't know why they call it skin a cat, but I guess people back in the day like to skin cats. Yeah, it makes sense to write it down. The process of writing things down. I don't want to quote something I don't know, but I've read something about the psychological ramifications of it. I don't know. I'm not going to quote what I don't know. Back to our topic before we just keep rambling. If you leave me, I'll ramble for 30 minutes. Anyway, we're talking about how dare you. Let's do a quick recap of what we spoke about last week. Drop it in the comments if anything you picked up from last week. Someone like Mataya that doesn't write things down, maybe he has things in his head. Anything you picked up from last week, put it in the bottom. I'm trying to, yeah, that's where the comments are, right? For me, it's to the side, right? Well, put it in the bottom comments there. Let me know what you remember from last week, but I'm going to do a quick recap. I gave you a quick, I told you that how dare you, this whole topic or this, what we're discussing, came from moments of self-reflection for me, right? Where I was thinking, I was at a turning point. This wasn't very long ago. This was like 2 weeks ago. Still in that turning point, and I was wondering, hey, you know what? Let me look back on my life. Let me look back at other turning points in my life, and let me think about things that delayed me. Let me think about things that delayed me. Let me think about things that stopped me, things that I wish I did but I didn't do, or things that I wish I did sooner and I didn't do sooner. I wasn't expecting to get this insight, but at the end of the day, I found that what I always think about at those moments when I feel like there's something I need to do, a next step I want to take, something bigger than me that needs to be manifested by me, there's always that persona, always that question at the back of my mind that just says, how dare you? How dare you think about that? How dare you even want to try that? Considering where you're from, considering what you'll be risking, right? Considering how, you're not coming from an especially exceptional background, right? Why do you think that you deserve that? You of all people, right? And I was able to walk through how I was able all those years to beat that. It's still present, right? I still have that feeling every once in a while, like, why would you even think of that? If you don't have that feeling, it means you're probably not pushing yourself enough. So, in me walking through that, I'm deciding to share some of my thoughts with you guys. And I talked about how these things people tend to be, blame. It seems spiritual, right? Like you keep trying something and failing and trying something and stopping, and you start to see maybe a pattern in around you, maybe in your family, maybe people around you and whatnot. And especially here in Nigeria, here in Africa, we like to blame things on spiritual, the devil and whatnot. And I defined what I believe spiritual is. Spiritual and physical realm. People tend to say when you think spirit, you think God, devil, angels, demons, your village people, Uncle Matayo, I'm using someone name here, Uncle Toby from your primary school that doesn't want you to progress and whatnot. While all of those things are true, you're a spiritual being, right? And there are aspects of you that are spiritual that you don't acknowledge. Those aspects of you that are spiritual are and immaterial parts of you, your thoughts, your imaginations, your words, right? I don't want to go too deep into all of it because I did speak about it last week. And then we went into how your focus, the adversary that everybody blames, the devil. Yorubas will say anytime something goes wrong, yeah, Isha is the devil's work. And I told you that this guy is not omni. Life is never going to give you a straight line. Find and focus on one way. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That is actually a straight quote from last week. Thanks for bringing that back up. I'll get there soon. So this guy, man, you're on fire here. The devil you blame is your habits. That's what I was about to say. This guy that you always blame is not omnipresent, right? It's not everywhere every time. What has happened is based on the conditioning of your past, the things that has happened to you in your past, you yourself are in your own way because you have been conditioned to. I made a quote from a book called The Miseducation of the Negro that says something like, hey, Timothy, how's it going? It says something like, what's that quote again? If you are able to convince a man that he's inferior, if you're able to convince a man or make a man feel inferior, you do not need to convince him to take an inferior status. He will seek it out himself. So at the end of the day, it is you versus you. It is not the devil or the metaphorical or the way they paint it in movies, one demon whispering to you at the back. It is your own head. It is your own thoughts. It is your own imaginations. It is your own words that are against you. It is still you that is telling you, how dare you? So how do we beat that? And I also walked you through the story of the turtle, sea turtle, and the baby, letting you know that those nudgings in your heart is actually things that were encoded in your being, right? Trying to come out. Those nudgings in your heart are things that are supposed to help you to unlock your purpose. People like to go around looking for their purpose like it's a lost wallet. When your purpose is not supposed to be found, it is supposed to be unlocked by engagements. The more you do, the more you know you can do, right? The more you do, the more you follow the nudgings of your heart, the things that you feel angry about, the things that you feel are not being done well enough, and now you feel pushed to go and do it. The things that you look at and you're like, you know what, I probably can do this better, right? It's like everybody in the congregation seems to know how to sing better than the people that are holding the mic. And I think that happened to me when I was a teenager, right? I think I was saying something like, I don't like when this lady leads praise and worship. She doesn't lead it well. I think I said, and the person said, can you do it better? Have you volunteered to be in the choir? Right? So why did I make that point? That doesn't mean that I wanted to be a chorister. Anyway, I'm just saying that certain things you see, it just pisses you off. You have a nudging in your heart to go and do it. The reason why those things are there is so that you can go and unlock your purpose. The reasons why those things are there is so that you can engage with it and discover a deeper understanding of yourself. And then where I ended last week was that anything that tells you out there you is telling you out there God, because it was God that encoded you and created you the way that you are. However, even though I did not know that this is the direction I was going to go this week, I felt inspired to come back today with a caveat, because now I'm scared that one person might hear that and then they will now go and follow a very foolish nudging and say, that is how God made me. Right? How many people here has that friend or had that friend that anybody that tells them the truth becomes a bad friend? How many people here has that friend that, let's say they are too loud, they have a short temper, they say, that's just me. If you can't, well, I mean, before I start throwing jabs, because a lot of people, there's always that person on Twitter, not on Twitter, on WhatsApp, that is always posting memes that makes it seem like the whole world is against them. You can't love me for me. You got choose yourself, gal, clock it. Those kind of posts that they will just post. That them and their best friend just fought, but they can't talk. So they're not using memes to talk to each other. Go and improve. Your behavior is bad. Because this one I are just acting like it's everybody that does not understand you. The first person complain, you say they are bad friend. The second person complain, only you fought with everybody. You said they don't love me for me. Maybe it's hard to love you for you. Maybe you should change small. So jokes aside, yes, it was God that created you. Yes, He made you, but there are other things that makes you. That's what we want to touch on today, right? That is what we want to touch on today. Okay, you said you see those kind of posts, Toby. Haters, everybody in a hater. Well, your bad behavior, they follow you up and down. I'm not talking to anybody. I don't like Wahala. Anyway, so today we're going to be touching on the things that make you, right? 3 things that make you. And it's important for us to touch on this because you have to understand, the more you understand the things that make you, the more you can know, hey, is this thing that I'm feeling, is it actually, out of the lack of a better word, pure? Is it actually something I'm supposed to go out and do? Or is it just one of those things that either, the best way for me to say this is, I was having a conversation with somebody that is like a younger sister to me. I can even say she's my younger sister. And I was giving her advice and whatnot. And after telling her everything, I said, she's trying to look at what next she's supposed to do. And I said something like, you have to be careful because now I've told you, go out and try this, go out and try that. It's possible that at the end of the day, the big idea you're going to come back with is something that you've already seen around you, right? You would have made progress, right? Maybe you've taken 2 steps forward. But if your current state or your current situation allows for an opportunity of +10 and you do a +2 instead of +10, you will celebrate, all of us will celebrate your +2 but really you are a -8. I don't know if anybody, hey, why did that happen? Looked like I went off for a second. But really you are a -8. Why did I say that? Sometimes because of some of the things I'm going to be showing you today, we have sort of suppressed what is possible for us. So let me just get straight to it. 3 things that make you. Number 1, of course, maker, the creator of heaven and earth. God made you. Before your environment, before trauma, before affirmation, before rejection, before any of that, there is a way that God has made you. You understand? You were created with certain temperaments, capacities, tendencies, curiosities, and whatnot. Pure and pure. Your parents provided the body, but it's God that created your spirit, that put your spirit inside of you. So there are certain uniqueness about you that you need to discover. But the second thing that makes you is, let's call God making you your material, right? The material or the source. The second thing that makes you what I'll call the cast or the medium is your environment, which speaks about your upbringing, your background, right? And how does this make you? How does this form you? Let's say form you. I think that makes sense. Better is a better way to say it. It forms you through, number 1, the situation of your upbringing. If you're like me, you didn't grow up from a particularly, should I say, privileged background, or maybe you grew up from a privileged background. What is your family structure like? What is the social status? What is the cultural setting, the economic background? What kind of houses did you live in? What kind of houses do you think was not supposed to be for people like you, and what of all of that? That is the situation of your upbringing. Then you have the influences of your upbringing. The influences of your upbringing are like, your parents, probably your siblings, cousins, people that lived with you, your teachers, and all of that, right? Those, when it comes to the influences of your upbringing, it has to do with people, what they say to you, what they encourage, what they discouraged, how they formed your paradigm to life. A paradigm is just basically your own way of looking at life. A lot of things that we think are true are not 100% true. It is just the way that we formed, the way that we've been formed forms the way that we look at life. But let's not go into deep into that, because we can speak about paradigms for days, right? So what fears were normalized, what beliefs were normalized, that is the influence of your upbringing. I've talked about the situation of your upbringing. Now I'm speaking about the influence of your upbringing. At the end of the day, the situation of your upbringing, when you put that together with the influence of your upbringing, turns into the leverage of your upbringing. If you came from a rather poor background, but because you had good influences, that can be a good multiplier such that it gives you higher leverage, right? If you came from a rich background, but somehow because of trauma, because of whatnot, and let's put numbers to it. Let's say you came from the poorest of the poor, let's say 1 out of 10, right? And then because of the schools you went to, or because of your parents instilling certain words into you and being good examples or whatnot, the influence of your background is a 7. Now your score is 7, right? Someone else, great, super rich family, 10. But I know people will try say, I'd rather be from a rich family, but whatever. Something I'm going to say later would help you to break that, the head of that, should I say, that stronghold in your mind. Anyway, so somebody else comes from a 10/10 family, but the influences are not so good. So it's 10 times 1. Of course, they can be a 10 times 10. They can also have good influences, and they are now 100 and you are 7. I like, yeah, my life. Where will I start from? But that's not where we're going. But I'm just trying to get you to understand the 3 factors I'm trying to talk about: the situation of your upbringing, the influences of your upbringing, and the leverage that it gives you. The situation is like, the situation, what's the family structure, economic background, da 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 da. I already talked about that. The influences is what you've been told, what they normalize for you and whatnot. And the leverage is the usefulness of everything that has happened to you, right? So those things are part of what makes you. But these things are not as important. But it is important, but it's not as important as the next one I'm going to bring. And that should be good news for you. You see, what your upbringing, this second part, the first part is God making you with the material. The second part is the cast, your upbringing, is supposed to bring you into this world and form you in a way that that material that God has given is now very useful for the world. But the truth of the matter is, we're all humans. We can sit here, day after day and start saying, yeah, my daddy didn't do this for me. I'm angry because my mommy did this, but you self, you don't hold now, so it's all on you. Thank you, Toby, for bringing it all out. It's all on you, right? So I lost my train of thought there. So I was saying the material, God gave the material, your bring gives the cast. Sometimes, unfortunately, because of your bringing, what is being casted is rather small. It has been suppressed. For a lot of us, that is true. Out of not everybody's fault. Sometimes in the family, it's not, sometimes your parents just add to, also times two, just to put food on the table, right? Maybe they didn't have enough time to sit down with you and tell you about life and give you the leverage, right? Or maybe they didn't have leverage as well, and there was no time for them to get leverage. But all they could do is at least maybe just send you to school, right? So I'm not saying this for anybody to start to playing the blame game about their upbringing or whatnot. If you're over the age of 25, I don't think you should be blaming anybody for the results of your life anymore. I think most of us here are, right? But that aside, so I've mentioned the material, which is how God created you. I've mentioned the cast, which is how your upbringing forms you. The final and most important, and the one that you have 100% control over, is your response or your use. Your response or your use. See, pay attention to this. You are not just what happened to you. You should write this down. It's good. You are not just right. You're not just what happened to you. You are the interpretation of what happened to you. You're not just what happened to you. You are the response of what happened to you. I'll say it again. You're not just what happened to you. You are the response of what happened to you. You can sit here, sit in your bedroom, sit wherever you are, and blame your upbringing, blame that time that you needed money for jam and they could not afford it, or blame that time that one person did one thing to you several times. It was, not your fault that all those things happened. It was not your fault that all those things happened, but it is your responsibility to grow past them. And I'm going to tell you the four mechanisms that determine your response real quick. But let me give you an example, right? First of all, I like to use myself as an example. So it's not like I'm talking about other people like I'm better than them. But first of all, let me give you this example. When I was back in school, I remember I was talking to this lady, and basically, I think she was looking for kerosene, right? And at that point, like, it just didn't make sense for anybody to be looking for kerosene. And anytime we speak, right, she'd always be complaining that she can't find kerosene anywhere. She can't. I'm like, why are you so stuck up on kerosene? What happened to your gas cooker? And what she told me, and we're like maybe our fourth year or something, what she told me is, she doesn't want to use gas cooker because her dad told her she can be rather careless, right? So it's better she's using a kerosene stove, right? And at that point, it just sounded weird to me. And I think it's a perfect example of right now how sometimes we tend to carry the labels that people have given us years ago, either consciously or unconsciously. They told you were too shy. They told you can't sing. They told you you're not very good at calculations. They told you this. They told you that, and that is the cast. They casted you a certain way, and you just accepted it. Like I said, you're not just what happened to you. You are your response, the response, how you responded to what happened to you. So how are you going to respond? Are you going to maintain? Let's assume. And here's the thing. Let me just get straight into it. I'll just be getting ahead of myself. The four mechanisms of your response. Number one is your interpretation, right? How do you interpret your background? I'll tell you a story. I read it somewhere. I heard it somewhere. Can't say for sure. I think I was listening to a tape by Les Brown when he gave this example. Two guys, I think they were brothers, maybe elder brother, younger brother, or they're twins. Detail doesn't matter. Both of them grew up in the same house. Both of them had the same dad. Same dad. What's wrong with the dad? The dad was always going in and out of jail. Eventually, he was put in jail for a long time. Their mom could not take care of them and whatnot. And the peculiar thing is, as at the point they were interviewing them, one of them was working as an executive in a top company. The other one was in jail. When he asked the guy, oh wow, 1 second. Okay, guys, give me a quick second. Let me quickly address something. Pardon me. Sorry, need to check something. Sorry for the break in transmission. A little bit of fatherhood emergency. Give me a second to close the door. All right, where was I? Two guys, right? Two guys. Sorry, guys, for the break in transmission. My very acrobatic, very athletic son discovered gravity once more. Hallelujah. Anyway, two guys. I was talking about two guys. Same upbringing, whatnot. One is an executive in a good company. One is in prison. Asked the guy in prison and said, "Hey, what happened to you? Why do you think you ended up here?" The guy says, "Don't you know who my dad is? There's no way I couldn't have ended up in prison. Nobody was there to give me a good example. Nobody was there to take care of me. Nobody was there to this, that, that, etc, etc." Other guy, executive, why are you here? Like, have you seen my family? Who would grow in that kind of family and don't want to make a name for himself or make a way for himself? What motivated me was this guy was saying that before one person cuts this clip and say it's my own family. What motivated him was the fact that his dad was always in and out of jail, and he said he didn't want to put his own family through that. Right? So how do you interpret your background? Let me tell you something, just remembering something now. Let me tell you something that I posted on my WhatsApp last year. And a couple of guys came after me, not came after, like, they just didn't agree. It's a little triggering, and I understand that. I posted that, and this is my interpretation. Feel free to agree with it or disagree with it. I posted that, assuming that we have at the the most extreme of the born rich, born poor spectrum. The guy that is born rich over here, opulent, super rich family, and then this guy that is born poor on this side. Can you guys, it looks like my internet went off. All right, it looks like my internet went off. Just please leave a comment so I know I'm back. Pardon the many distractions and obstructions today. I believe that everything is stabilized now. Lost my train of thought. Super sorry, guys. Let me check the chat. Man, network and my acrobatics son are really stopping my flow. Where was I? Apologies. Yeah, I know my live went off there. I'm back on now. You should see it in a jiffy. Yeah, I'm back live. Really apologize for that. Not sure why that went off. Trying to remember where I was. Oh, yeah, I was talking about what I posted on WhatsApp. I said on the two extremes, we have a guy that is um, from a super rich family, rich background, and we have a guy that is from a super poor family. What I posted that got people a little angry was I believe that those two people don't have equal advantage, but they have similar advantage. I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, but let me explain. For the guy that was born rich, he has resources on his hand. He has resources for days. If he has an idea, I remember when we were back when we were in school, one of my cousin's friends had a business idea, and his dad just gave him 500K to go and get it started. Man, 500K seemed like, is that where I stopped? About the second son going to prison? I don't think that's where I stopped. Man. But stick with this one. Just stick with this one. Give me a second, please. Stick with this one. I said they have equal, um, maybe not equal advantage, but similar advantage. Because the guy that has comes from a rich family has the advantage of resources, right? He has an idea, there's money to back it. But there's one thing that he doesn't have that the other guy has. This guy does not have resources, but this guy has hunger. Now, resources in the hands resources in the hands of somebody that interprets it wrongly is just as useless as hunger in the hand of the one that interprets it wrongly. Let me explain. The guy that has resources, even if they give him $1 million, like I think they used to make fun of the fact that uh, I think it's Donald Trump that used to say that he wanted to start a business and his dad gave him a small loan of $1 million. Like, yeah, of course, you know, um, of course you're going to be successful. They gave you $1 million loan. How many people have they given $1 million loan that still failed? There's a certain musician that all of us know that comes from a super rich family, and they like to compare him with another musician. They say one person is 001, one person isn't. While he's a billionaire's son, right? But is he the only billionaire son? Is he the only billionaire son with dreams of becoming the top of the charts and becoming a great musician? Right? I understand it can be triggering that the excuse that most of us use that we don't have resources, it feels like I am, being insensitive to it. And I'm not. Not having resources is a real limitation, right? But if you still have the resources and you don't interpret it well, you can have that. You can have they can give you a loan of $1 million and you still feel like, it's not enough. What I need is 5 million, or if only I can get another 10 million or whatever. While you're on the hungry side as well, you can say, because I'm hungry, I can't do anything. Whereas another guy is saying, you know what, because I am hungry, because I can't, I watch my parents suffer every day just to pay my school fees. I watch my parents suffer every time, work morning to night on one job and still go and open their shop till like 11 p.m. Because of that, I want to make sure that that never happens again. Everything comes down to interpretation, and everything comes down to what you'll accept, right? Another thing you need to focus on, or you need to pay attention to in terms of your interpretation and your response to who you are, is your interpretation of failures, right? Your interpretation of failures and how you interpret your strengths. That failure part, I'm going to come back to it. I have a good example when I get to the next point. Your interpretation of failures, of your strengths. And this one, I'm going to stay on it because this is one of my problems. I can't count how many times someone will come to me, ask me for some advice about something, go and do it, and then they come back and they're like, wow, they've done a lot. I was talking to one of them a while back, and I was saying, man, sometimes, a lot of times I don't even see myself as a big deal. I'm like, bro, are you crazy? Do you know what you've been able to tell me? Do you know what I've been able to change? Da, 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 da. Because I'm so used to it, I see it as, man, it's not a lot. It's not that much. Man, I know I'm good, right? It always seems like humility, but deep down, later I discover that it's actually fear, right? Somebody tells you you're so good, nah, it's not that bad. It's not that. The truth of the matter is, I was really just scared of the spotlight. I don't want to be spotlighted as this great guy because once I'm spotlighted as this great guy, do you know what happens? Other people will be like, if it's great, I want to know him. If it's great, I want to know him. But me, I just want to live a quiet life, stay out of the way and whatnot. You understand? So sometimes you can misinterpret your strengths. You can, and it still comes down to, what the example I just gave. Someone can have a lot of money and still say it's not enough. Someone with far less money can make a lot come out of it. Just like you. Another problem we face, and I think this is part of, you know, the indoctrination and the way that we were just checking the live since there were a lot of interruptions, just making sure that there isn't more. Another problem that we have is they don't allow you to discover your superpower. Let me explain. I don't mean you can fly, don't try it. What I'm saying is, anytime they used to do talent shows while we were growing up, what did they always used to look for? People that can dance, people that can backflip, people that can sing. Me now that I can't dance, I can't sing, I can't backflip. What's in calling me for the rest of us now? Now, what is the definition of talent? The definition of talent is he's so talented, his videos are funny on social media, right? Have you seen the hooks that guy can do? Have you seen the transitions? That is what we define as talent. So that thing that you can do that doesn't seem spectacular for the camera, you just, it's not that much of a big deal. Isn't it just this? It's not like I can go viral with that. What about you are you diminishing because you think other people don't accept it? That doesn't make any sense, my brother or my sister. We have all thrown away the possibility of being useful because everybody wants to go viral. My own superpower is I know how to I am very good at pattern recognition. And it's why last week I told you that sometimes you might not even need to pick up one single book. If you can sit down and ruminate and reflect on your own life, you're going to see some patterns, you're going to see some lessons, you're going to see some mistakes. You're literally going to remember times that it seems like you were just like a fly that is eating its head. Have you ever seen a fly when there's like a mirror or a glass and then it's just going bam, 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 bam? That is you when you don't sit down to think and look at the patterns of your life so that you can do better later. My own superpower is I know how to reflect, I know how to come back. And it helps me in what I do in marketing. Like I can see the patterns of people's behavior. We did this and then they did this and they did this. That is my talent, right? I'm not going to dance about it on TikTok, but I know what I know. I know that's what I'm good at, right? When you're probably killing yourself, your own off because it's not performative. For my wife, that woman can observe. She'll sit down in one corner and just smiling, but she's taking a lot in. And you're going to ask her about that day 2 years from now, and then she's going to tell you what that person was wearing over there, what that person was wearing over there, what happened after, what happened, so what happened. Usually quite scared of that woman. But that is her own talent. That's what she's really good at. So you misinterpret your own strengths because it doesn't fit into what is currently popular, what everybody is currently accepting. At a point in time, you had to be totally dumb to dance on social media, but some people, that was what they were supposed to do, and they started doing it, and then the time came that it made sense. But do you know one thing? If the opportunity comes for that thing that you're good at, if the opportunity actually comes, because you've not started, people don't help people that want to start now. People help people that are already on the way. It's just the truth. If you're in your house and you're going to, I don't know, the market or whatever, and you don't, let's say you don't have transport or you don't have whatever, or you don't have a car. Even if you have a car, let's say you just want to stroll, nobody is going to offer to pick you if you're not on the road now. You have to be on the road. But you won't get on the road because you think, it's not a big deal. I've spent a lot of time here because it's actually personal to me. It is one thing that plagued me for the longest time. I used to misinterpret my strengths. I used to look at it like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And I feel like the reason I'm pestering on this is there's somebody that this is supposed to call out. That thing that you're thinking is small is a big deal. And then how do you interpret what is possible for you and how do you interpret your own identity? And I'm going to go more into that in the next point. The next thing, the next mechanism is checking here so I don't ramble. The next mechanism is the desires you nurse. We just talked about your interpretation of your interpretation of yourself in terms of your background, your strengths. We really hit the point on that one. Your failures, what is possible for you. So let's say the desires you nurse. Let's talk about the desires you nurse. Here's what makes, oh, don't close tab. Here's what is important about your desires, right? The desires that you nurse and act on is what would unlock that purpose that you're looking for up and down. The desires that you nurse and act on would either show you the depths of yourself or the shallowness of yourself. Let me explain. If you have shallow desires, you'd only discover shallowness, the shallow aspects of you. If you have deep desires, you'll discover deep. That may not be the best way to say it. Let me look for the best way to say it. If you have big desires, chances are you'd have to dig deeper into yourself for it to come out. Let me put it this way. Think of yourself as a toolkit. Imagine you were just born into this world. You don't know anything about any tools. You have a screwdriver, you have spanners, you have a wrench, you have knives, you have whatever. Everything is in that toolbox. You don't even know the extent of that toolbox, right? And then now, you have a small desire. You have something, let's say you just want to get, I don't know, a simple thing done. And then there's a challenge. For you to be able to get that thing done, there's a small challenge. What's the small challenge? Let's just assume that the challenge you have to do is you have to uncouple something for you to be able to see, to get that reward, that thing you're after. So you went for a small thing, and then what you have to uncouple is there's just a rope. You just have to cut it. So you pick up a knife. You are used to using a knife. You just cut the knife. Easy peasy. They continue to bring knives. They continue to bring ropes, and you're cutting it. And you're cutting it. Now you're used to doing what? Your comfort zone is the knife, right? Your comfort zone. Imagine I'm holding a knife. Blue bottom, silver. I help your imagination. Imagine you're holding a knife. You're used to making use of that one tool, the knife, right? And then you start and you say, you know what, I want to go for something bigger. I have a bigger desire, right? And then now you have to uncouple something. And that thing is, let's say, a remote, right? I have a remote here. Perfect. So for you to uncouple this, the way my son uncouples stuff like this is he slams it on the floor, but you're a grown-up, you won't do that. You can still use the knife to pry it open like this. It is not what it was made for, but you can still make it work. Sometimes that is what it feels like going out of your comfort zone. That thing, that strength that you think is not much, you can also apply it to other places. And the only reason why you now know that that thing can be used to something else is because you chose a bigger desire and you decided to act on it. And then let's say you're done with the challenge of uncoupling remotes. What else is around me? And then now they say, for you to get the next thing, the next reward, you have to uncouple something. And guess what? That thing comes with a screw. You've never encountered this before. What are you going to pick up? You're still going to pick up that same knife because that's all you've ever known, right? It's always worked for you. And then you try it, right? And guess what? It opens it. And then you want a bigger reward. So they bring a bigger machine or a bigger thing for you to uncouple. And then that thing has a bigger screw. And then you try your best to use the knife, and then the tip of the knife breaks. That is failure. Do you know what some people do? I wasn't made for this. They drop the knife. Man, this life is so wicked. They start telling everybody about how that thing that they know how to do has spoiled, and now they can't do anything else. Da 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 da. However, you have an old toolbox inside of you that you never tapped into. You have an old toolbox. I hope you're getting the analogy, right? First of all, you use the same thing for different types of use cases. But now that it has failed, you want to just give up and say, nah, nothing is possible. That doesn't make any sense. It looks like it makes sense, but it doesn't. So what do you do next? The rational thing, or the thing that makes sense to do, is you have to dig deeper into yourself. What else can I do? That is what happens when you take yourself outside the comfort zone. What I'm trying to drive at here is most people do not go to that phase of what else can I do? What else can I try? Once something doesn't work for them, once they see a bigger challenge, and they see something they've never seen before, once they taste failure just a little bit, they do not try to reach for something else inside of them. But let's say you're a smart guy, you reach for something else and you see a plier, you try it, doesn't work, you toss it out. And what do? You see a screwdriver. And then, oh my God, I do have a screwdriver. And then you start to use it like, okay, awesome, I'm the greatest guy in the world now. I just figured this out. Booyah. And guess what happens next? Now you have a more complicated machine to deal with. It has nuts and bolts, and then it has screws. You know what screwdriver does. You just use the screwdriver, you open it. But then there's this nut and bolt. Then you remember that tool that you used the other time, a plier. It's not what it's supposed to be. That is not the tool that is supposed to unlock this. It feels like I'm teaching you how to be a mechanic here. That is not what you're supposed to use to do to unlock this, but it can also work. And then there are more nuts and bolts and nuts and bolts and nuts and bolts, and you're struggling and struggling and struggling. And then you reach for more. You find a spanner, and on and on and on and on and on. All of a sudden, you discover that you have a whole toolkit. You have not discovered half or a quarter of what is inside of you because you are not reaching for more. You will not be forced to reach for more until you set your desires on more. I don't know if you get what I mean. I tried. I really tried my level best to try and explain it to you. But the summary of what I'm just saying here is, the bigger the challenge you decide and you face, right, the deeper inside of you that you need to reach. You just have to be brave enough to face that challenge. That's why I tell people, the point of goal setting is not to hit the goal. The point of goal setting is self-mastery. When you set a goal that is bigger than you, because you are following a nudging inside of you that really wants that thing. When you set a goal that is bigger than you, even if you never do it, you have discovered new parts of you. Even if you are wrong, right? And this is what most people are scared of. They're scared to be wrong. What if I go for this thing and it's not what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? It's okay. Guess what? You just discover deeper. You just have a deeper understanding of yourself. You now know what is in your toolkit. And when something that fits comes, you know what to pick. I don't know if you guys are getting me. So I've talked about your interpretations, right? And I did say that your interpretation of failure, I'll touch on it on the next point. I hope you caught that. That was the point where the knife broke while trying to school, right? You can interpret failure like that, like, oh, I don't have anything else to do. This is what I've ever known. This is what they used to do. This is my degree. And I came out, I did engineering in school now. But everywhere that I've seen in my city, they can't get me. I can't get a job. And this one, that. I can't deceive you. You know the kind of people I don't like being around, complainers. There are certain people that you can't convince that their life can be better. I swear to God. If if you brought an affidavit from Jesus Christ himself, from God, that they sign it, it go better for you. Signature, God, I gave it to them. You say, But you know that this Nigeria that we are, if they don't blame Nigeria, they will blame their parents. If they don't blame their parents, they will blame their school and their lecturers in school. Bro, you're a grown up. How about you blame yourself and you take responsibility? Anyway, so I've talked about your interpretation. I've talked about the desires you nurse. The key point about the desire you nurse is the bigger the desire, the bigger the challenge. And the bigger the challenge, the more you have to reach into your toolkit of, should I say, talents and tendencies. The third thing, let's zoom back up. I'm talking about the three things that make you. We talked about God himself. And we talked about your environment, and we're really going deep into yourself because this is the one that you have leverage on. And while we were talking about yourself, we've talked about your interpretation. We've talked about the desires you nurse. And now we're talking about what you will and will not accept. I'm looking for the best way to bring this up because I'm looking at my notes now. I don't want to start where I wrote to start because it might seem offensive. What do you like to manage and what have you accepted as normal? Don't forget, what will you accept and what will you not accept? I like to tell my friends this. Every level of income or lifestyle has a certain understanding. Every level of income or lifestyle has a certain understanding. There was a time that, I'm trying to look at the example. There was a time that if you have an hangout or you guys want to catch up or whatever, or you have to get somewhere, and you tell your people that I wanted to come, but I don't have transport, they would understand. It's cool. That makes sense. Like, you know, there's an understanding. Like, transport. They say you don't have transport. That's okay. There's a certain level that I wanted to call you, but I didn't have airtime. Makes sense. It's all good, right? There's a certain level that don't mind me, Jare. Uh, what's it called? My phone. They stole my phone in November, and I've been offline since then. I just gathered money to buy a new phone. There's a level where all of that still makes sense. There are places you talk about that, and it is still an understanding. Everybody understands that there are things that are hard. Where will I just find the 100K to go and buy a new phone, or 500, 400K to go and buy a new phone, right? And there's also a level, but there's a level where those things just doesn't make any sense anymore. What's that thing again? But there's a level where that doesn't make any sense anymore because based on the people you're interacting with, giving those kind of excuses just doesn't make sense. What do you mean you didn't have airtime? How much airtime? How much is airtime that you can buy? What I'm trying to tell you is what it is you that will accept. Let me say it the way that I told someone recently. When you're first starting out, hunger is your motivation. But later, after you conquer the core hunger, right, it is you that will now start choosing, hey, this life, this kind of life, I don't want it. I want to decide that in my life, I don't ever want to have a problem. My problem is never going to be that my phone spoiled and I can't buy a new one. I have to be postponing it, or I have to be planning for phone. There's a level of understanding where you and your friends, it's still okay for you guys to tell each other, I want to pay rent next month, and it's going to really hit me. Certain stuff and whatever. And there's a point that, people pay rent and they don't even feel like it's anything. I don't know if you are getting me. It is you that will choose what you want to be easy and what you want to be perpetually hard. It sounds insensitive, but it is true. It sounds insensitive, but it is true. And I'm not saying it because I believe it. I'm saying it because I know it. I don't like to talk numbers, and I like to say it humbly. I am nowhere near the richest person you know. We know a lot of people that have a lot more money than me. I don't even think I'm that far there. But I can remember there were times that to pay rent was a project for me. And I remember there was a time that once I pay rent, what I do is I start saving small so that a year will soon pass. And those times, rent was no more than hundreds of thousands or whatever. I'm super grateful for the fact that by God's grace, what is next year's rent or this year's rent is not even on the radar of what is bothering me, right? And that is not because, it just happened. I just started, it started to irritate me that, anytime I want to talk about it. Like imagine somebody just tells you that, hey, let's go and do so and so. Like, I just paid rent last week, so it's kind of tight like that. You accept that because you think it's normal. It's not normal. It is not normal. To some people, it's not normal. For me, it is no longer normal because I stopped accepting it as normal. By God's grace, it is no longer normal. I paid my rent 1 month. The next month, I already had enough for the next rent. I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that to let you know that it is not normal. We have accepted it as normal. And like I told my friend when we were having this conversation last week, I said at a certain point, it becomes foolishness for you to be flying commercial self. I wrote this story down in my newsletter, right? I'm going to call him my millionaire mentor. He does millions of dollars every year in his company. He told me, and this is a perfect story to explain what you accept and what you don't accept is what actually determines the lifestyle you live. He said he remembers the last day that he ever flew economy. He was about to book the flight, right? And he said, he looked at the price for economy. Then he looked at the price. I'm using money because it's universal, right? This thing can cut across just about anything. The kind of work you want, the kind of place you want to live, the kind of job you want, the kind of whatever. So he looked at the price of economy, he looked at the price of business class. It was maybe 3 times or 4 times. So I don't know. He said it was far more expensive. Then he said, where am I going? I'm going somewhere to do business, right? That business is going to make me some money, right? If the cheapest flight, right? The cheapest flight from where I am to that place that I'm going was the price of this business class. Let's put numbers so it's easy. Let's assume that the economy is 100K and the business class is 500K. If the cheapest flight was this 500,000, would I still want to go to where I'm going? He said yes. Would I still need to go there? Yes. So I'm just going to assume that the cheapest flight is 500K, then I'm going to pay. Now you may argue, it's because he has it. It's because if you don't have that money now, will you be able to do that? I don't want to tell you to shut up, but shut up. The truth is, you can still have the money. You that are shouting, that thing is in your mind. You can still have the money and you still not spend it because because of the cast they've already made for you that you don't want to break out of. Because you think it's normal to guide that kind of money. The guy, is it not the same flight? Is it not the same 3 hours all about? It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Don't mind. You want to go and buy jersey 100K. I'm not saying go and buy jersey. I'm just using an example. It's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. It's not the same thing. It is you that have just accepted that. He said he got on that flight, the business class flight. He noticed the difference. He noticed the clarity of thinking. Right? And he said to himself, he needs to do mathematics. What's the mathematics he needs to do? He needs to make sure that the price of this business class flight is less than 1% of what he makes. So it makes sense that he can just spend it anyhow. If he never got on that flight, he would have never had that desire. If he never had that desire, he would have not gone to face whatever challenge that made it possible for him to get to that desire. And if he never faced that challenge, he would not have entered new depths of himself. What you accept, what you choose that you will accept and not accept, determines ultimately how far you go in life. Sometimes it pains me to say it. There was a time that somewhere where I used to work, I'm not sure if I can share this, but whatever, hopefully it will help someone. Somewhere I used to work, they called me back for some consultation, and I saw this guy like, hey, he's still there. I know he can do better. I know he can do better. I know he can be much more. But he's still there because that is what he has accepted. And he's hoping for more. See, I said something in one of the sessions in this of this live experience. I said, the moment that you decide that your dream life stops being a fantasy and it becomes a necessity, that is the moment you start to live the dream life. And the dream life doesn't have to be the, traveling the world and whatever. The dream life can just be your next step. The moments that you decide that it becomes necessary, that transport fare, rent, food, all these things will no longer be a problem for you. It is a necessity that is no longer a problem for you. That day is when you accept the challenge of actually making it happen. And a part of the problem, if you will allow me, if you don't like this, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Part of the problem is you've normalized Sapa. You know all those jokes now. It's my last. You don't even feel shy. You don't feel ashamed again. All of us, even though I used to say it, you can't shame the shameless. You are not ashamed to admit that it's your last 5K. Come on, bro. See me, one thing I used to do, anytime I have my last 5K, I go and buy, what's it called? Because it's who is alive that shut up your mouth. Why is that your normal? Why is it you that you have Sapa memes every time? Sapa. No fish here me. Trophy Sapa share me. I think it's a joke. But you've normalized it. You've normalized Sapa. You normalize that is your life now. Accept it. That is your life. You know how it is. Mangas find rent like this. So they also I don't get time. I should come out. Me that I'm trying to pay rent. I should do this. Me that they just sold. Mama, my phone screen spoiled first. Like I was used 300K. So right now like this, I go drink Gary 2 weeks. That's what you've accepted now. There are some people. I don't know why I feel like I can keep sharing like this. Well, that's what you know. What I don't cut these parts because I don't want it on social media or anything. I was seated in this same what's it called? In the same office, right? When I just checked my phone and my wife was like, our phone screen, that it seems like it's removing and whatnot. And like, we need to go and fix it. I'm like, you know what? You've been using the phone for a while. I said, go and check how much for a new phone of this. And the next couple of days, we got it. I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that to let you know why that the reason why that is possible for me now is that is it. I no longer wanted, this is something that is real. I just used to think about it. Anytime I go through one struggle, I'm conscious of it, like, oh, this is going to be the last time I go through it. But you and most people, you normalize it. You think that is how life is supposed to be. And guess what? Part of the reasons is because the moment you find yourself thinking it should not be like that your life should not be like that voice comes, how dare you? Other people around you start looking at you like, you think you're better than us. Like, I bet some people on this are looking at you like, keep boasting. I'm not trying to boast for anybody. I'm nowhere near what I'm chasing currently. What I'm chasing currently, it fear me myself. I'm nowhere near what my goals are. And I've mentioned it here. If you've been paying attention, I've mentioned it here on one of these live sessions. I said it. I'll tell you exactly how I said it, but I'm not going to say it. I said before year 2030, I think I should be doing so amounts per year. If you can find it, find it. If you can't, forget about it. I already decided. I already spent a lot of time on this. What you accept and what you will not accept. So you can accept my advice, or you can choose not to accept my advice. Oh, it's already past 9. Admin is already messaging me that's alpha. Let me wrap it up here. What you decide and what you do. Most people don't understand what decisions are. You think decision is like, just thinking and talking. No, decision is not thinking and talking. Go and check the root word of decision. It basically means to cut off. When you decide on a thing, it means you are cutting off every other option, right? And if you are cutting off every other option, it means this is all you have and this is what you must do. So a lot of times, a lot of us don't actually decide. We just talk about deciding. If you decide, you will act. Anything you have decided to do, you will take action on it. And the reason why you're not acting is because your economics teacher has conditioned you on, pardon me, please. Your economics teacher has conditioned you on, what's that thing called? Opportunity costs. The economics teacher has conditioned you on opportunity costs. What opportunity costs make you focus on? It makes you focus on what you are losing out on, what you're missing out on when you focus on this. Let me tell you one of the secrets of marketing. One of the ways you can get people to pay attention is called FOMO, fear of missing out. And a vast majority of people who don't have a plan for their life, I'm sorry to say it like that, they always FOMO. What if I do this? What if I do that? And they'll bring that marketing for you that this is what you need to go and do. This is what you got. 10 seconds now. Come and buy this now. Come and do this now. You're missing out. Blah, blah, blah. To decide is to cut off. While you're thinking about opportunity cost, what you're missing out on, you should be focused. What you need to be focusing on is what I call opportunity expansion. What is opportunity expansion? Opportunity expansion sits on the belief. It sits on the belief that for every door you open, there's more possibilities attached to it. So your focus is not on the things that you missed out on when you cut off every other path. Your focus on is if I sit with this thing that I've decided to act on, what can it expand into? You keep your eyes open. You keep your head down, but you keep your eyes open. You keep your head down to work, but you keep your eyes open. What other opportunities are possible? And if you pay attention enough, opportunities expand. If you pay attention enough, the decision you make expands into new possibilities for you. This is where I'm going to have to wrap it up today. Unfortunately, because we're way past time, I'm not going to be able to do a recap, but I encourage you to go back and watch this, because even though I was looking at my notes, I ended up saying more than I planned to say on this live, right? As always, My name is Samuel Kayode Kukumo. I am the shadow of a great rock. I help restless spirits, people that have restless spirits, discover new depths of greatness locked inside of them. I help them do more, see more, hold more, and be more. And if you're one of them, you need to join our WhatsApp channel. Not channel, WhatsApp group. Hey, Diola, can you help me plug it on the comments? I don't think I have access to my WhatsApp here. I think I do. Give me a second. Let me check real quick. So I'm just going to put the link to the WhatsApp. If you're not a part of it, you should be, because even though I've been a bit of a naughty boy the past couple of weeks and I've not been engaging much, that is where I'm going to be sending things like a couple of things that maybe I did not say during the live that I want you guys to know, and some extra thoughts. It's not unusual for me to drop voice messages there of thoughts that came to my mind. So if you feel like that is interesting stuff for you, then you really should join. It's free to join. Right? Thank you so much for joining to hear me yap some wisdom today. Until next time on your award-winning Summer of More Life experience. And don't forget, if you've not done it yet, go and write down 3 things you want to get done this week. And, peace be unto you. Grace to you. Take care. Bye. Oh, by the way, sorry, before we go, 1 second, before we go, pardon me. Next week, we're going to be doing a Q&A session for the for this series that we're just concluding, which is, why do I always forget the name of my own series? Jesus. How Dare You? So the How Dare You Q&A session is going to be next week. It's going to be on Google Meet. You need to be on that WhatsApp community to be able to get access to it. There you'll be able to ask me questions. Maybe all the things I've said today, you've planned with that. I will show you. Come and show me next week during the Q&A session. Do take care. And